Here's a challenge. The next time somebody get on your nerves, don't immediately give them the worst version of you. Don't raise your voice. Don't rush to disrespect them. Don't make sure they know you're irritated because anybody can react. Anybody can match energy. Anybody can become difficult when somebody else becomes difficult. Anybody can. It's easy. The harder thing is staying in control when you have every excuse not to. Now that takes strength. That takes real strength. Humility doesn't mean making yourself small. It doesn't. A lot of people misunderstand humility. They think being humble means letting people walk all over you. Doesn't mean that people can just walk over you. Never speaking up, pretending you have no confidence, acting like your accomplishments don't matter. That's not humility. You can know your value without needing to prove you're more valuable than everybody else. Think about that. Humility says, I know what I bring, but I also know I don't know everything. It allows you to listen, to learn, to admit when you're wrong. And sometimes I was wrong requires more confidence than pretending you never are. Think about that. Gentleness is controlled by strength. Gentleness gets mistaken for weakness too. But being gentle doesn't mean being powerless. Think about that. If you have the ability to hurt somebody with words, but choose restraint, that's control. If you could embarrass somebody but choose not to, that's control. If you could make the argument worse instead of lowering your voice, that's control. Being aggressive is not always evidence of strength. Sometimes aggression is what happens when somebody has no control over themselves. Real strength knows when not to use all of its force. Got to slow down a little bit. It's easy until people are involved. Everybody likes patience in theory. Everybody does. Then somebody drives too slow. Somebody misunderstands you. Your child asks the same question for the fifth time. Your spouse forgets something. A coworker does something you think they should already know. And suddenly, patience disappears. Patience is not tested when somebody behaves the way you want. It's tested when they don't. And sometimes the people closest to us receive the least patience because we assume they will always understand. Be real careful with that. The people you love should not always receive the version of you that strangers never get to see. I'm guilty of that myself. People are always going to require grace. If you're planning on having relationships, people are going to disappoint you. Guaranteed. Not always intentionally. People forget things. They say the wrong thing. People have bad days. They misread situations. They carry stress you know nothing about. And sometimes they're simply difficult, just like you can be. And that last part matters because it's easy to demand patience for your imperfections while having none for somebody else. You want people to understand your intentions, but judge them only by their mistakes. Grace have to work in both directions. Everything goes two ways. Bearing with someone doesn't mean accepting everything. Now, let's make something clear. Being patient with people does not mean you accept abuse. It does not mean you tolerate disrespect. It does not mean that you stay silent while somebody consistently harms you. Boundaries are still necessary. Hard conversations are still necessary. Sometimes distance is necessary. So, bearing with people in love means recognizing that imperfection people requires patience. It does not mean giving unhealthy behavior unlimited permission. You can still be gentle and say no. You can be loving and still create a boundary. You can be patient without becoming somebody's punching bag. Stop trying to win every conversation. Some arguments keep going because neither person wants to understand. They want victory. They want the last word, the famous last word. You want them to admit you were right. You want them to feel how wrong they were. But sometimes the relationship pays for that need to win. You have to ask yourself, what am I trying to accomplish here? Resolution or domination? There are times when you need to make a point, But there are also times when you need to stop talking, listen, and protect something bigger than your pride. We're all guilty of that. Love is often inconvenient. Love sounds beautiful until it requires patience, until it requires forgiveness, until somebody needs more understanding than you feel like giving, until you have to listen to something you already heard before, until you have to choose compassion when irritation would be easier. Love is not always how you feel about somebody when everything is good. It shows up how you handle things or handle them when things become inconvenient. Anybody can love when love costs nothing. Character shows up when love requires something from you. So think about it. Maybe that is why these qualities are placed together. Be completely humble, be gentle, be patient, bear with one another in love, because relationships need all four. Humility reminds you that you're not always right. Gentleness controls how you use your strength. And love keeps you from treating every mistake like an enemy attack. That does not mean that you become weak. It means that you become mature. You stop needing to prove yourself in every disagreement. You stop treating irritation like it's an emergency. You stop giving everybody your hardest response just because they caught you on a bad day. And you start remembering that the people around you are human. They need grace. They need patience. They need correction sometimes. And so do you. So be strong enough to stay gentle, secure enough to stay humble, patient enough to give people room to grow, and wise enough to know the difference between showing grace and allowing disrespect. Because some of the strongest people you will ever meet are not the loudest. They're the ones who could react but choose love instead. I'm going to leave you with this. Remember this. You can be confident and still be humble. You can be strong and still be gentle. You can set boundaries without becoming cruel. And you can give people grace without losing yourself. Choose patience, choose understanding, and let your strength show through your character. Carry that with you today.